to compare the two things. One is my essential nature and other is my, you can say, superficial or interactive nature. The interactive nature is created by the body, breath, mind, intellect, ego, perception of the world, event, things, people. So if we see the gap between the two, then obviously we need a contemplation and reflection. And if there is no gap, then there is, even if you do the contemplation, it will lead you to the same state. So, outer interactive nature by the mind or intellect or by the false eye, and the essential nature inside. And the best thing to do that we should not forget the Shanti mantra. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Vavatu. The first line, it guards me. What is it? A protection. So we say, oh, let us everyone be protected. So we are here communicating. I'm creating an acronym. So you can remember, acronym is GROWS. So the first Om Sahana Bhavatu is guarding myself from the diktat of the mind coming from outer event world. That is the first thing. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu. So I translated Sahano Bhunaktu as a nourishment. May we enjoy both. Here, teacher and the student, so here I am using the word R, relish. May a student also enjoy the teaching, not for attendance purpose, and also the teacher, not for the sake of passing on the information, but the teacher should go a little deeper and in a contemplative way. So R means relish, enjoying together. Then O means operate. So I have to make an effort through contemplation and reflection. Active participation. Means obviously intellectual participation, assimilating and digesting the knowledge. That is what we have to. We have to operate on the mind. We have to operate on the intellect to understand, and then we have to operate on the mind to assimilate. And so GRO. And then we have W. W is the wisdom. So that is what you have been talking, that knowledge is applied and we become aware, the wisdom. So that is why we say Tejasvina Vadhitamastu. May our intellect be alert, vigilant, brilliant. Why it is alert and vigilant? Because it is not dictated by the mind, impulsive mind, programming of the nature. And the S is the sync. Ma vidvisha vahe. There should not be any kind of misunderstanding, or which we normally say jealousy. So why is there jealousy in the real self? No. Jealousy is also during the interactive, how the mind is interactive, how the mind has created a personality with a particular behavior and attitude. So now if
what did S stand for?
S means sink. So I sink. It's a grows. So even if you remember just for 5 minutes every day, you think in that term, guard, relish, operate, wisdom, and sink. So the last word is sink. That is what I talked about. What is outside is also inside. I have a right perception. So if you look closely, our great text, the Gita, what the Gita is saying. Gita is saying that recognizing the source of suffering. What is, and I am suffering? Who is suffering? It is the outer personality, or what we can say, it is the personality which is suffering. Existence is not suffering. Well, who is suffering? The personality. What is personality is made up of? Personality is made up of five elements and mind, body, intellect. The personality is suffering. So that needs to be clearly understood and kept in the mind as a knowledge, so that I can sink as a wisdom. So then we move into the second chapter. Second chapter says, understand the fundamental nature of the self and the reality. That is what I have been talking, the real self and outer self. I'm not using the false self at present, so I'm using it as the outer self. So, understanding the fundamental nature of the real self and the outer self. So, there is an outer self and the inner self. We will understand in the 7th chapter. That is why I have started using inner self and the outer self. So that will become clear. So in the third, once I have understood these two, the outer self and the inner self, outer self that says that you are good or you are crazy, and the real self says that all are real self, all is one. There is hardly any difference, there is hardly any gap between the two. But that we don't recognize it, so we don't realize it. So I have to learn how to interact with the world without being carried away, without being bound by it. So there begins the Karma Yoga. That is what the Karma Yoga is. Third chapter. So I learn. What I learn from the Gita, I learn from the Eastern wisdom. So when we study Sadhana Panchakam, again written by the master Shankaracharya, he says you study Eastern wisdom. He simply says this. But the masters have given the interpretation is that you study Eastern wisdom to study yourself. We study the entire Gita to study ourselves. There is nothing more, nothing less. We are studying ourselves. And when we have a purity of the mind, then it becomes very easy for us to study ourselves. In the state of impurity of the mind, it is not possible. So, if I say learning to interact with the world without being bound by it, so obviously without being bound by it means what? I have a particular attitude in the mind. That attitude is not governed by the false I, and the false I is always looking for the result, fruits of an action. So I have dropped both, and I have done the Karma Yoga. So we have to deepen the practice of Karma Yoga in the chapter 4 with the knowledge and a sense of detachment or dispassion. That is explained in the 4th chapter, and in the 5th, then we move into the higher level of a dispassion. Again, understand clearly the higher level of dispassion comes because of continuity of discernment. That is what you have been doing. That is, I should continue with the discernment all the time. The higher the level of discernment, it gets converted into discernment, and the discernment gets converted into the sixth treasure, and the sixth treasure converts into an intense desire for freedom or awakening. What do you mean by the intense desire for awakening? Only one desire is left now. That is the meaning of intense desire. We don't see from the worldly point of view. I have an intense desire. I'm excited. No, no, there is no excitement. Intense desire means there is only one desire is left. What is that? Desire for the self. That state is most conducive to meditation. So we move into, that is how we move into meditation. And then what I said, you have not to forget, you use the liberate model. I think I covered that. You use the liberate model for discernment. It will prevent you not to forget anything. Liberate model. I listen and learn. I investigate. So that very investigation is between the false I and the real I at the highest level. At the lower level, it is between the attachment and detachment, or you can say pain and pleasure, binding nature, investigation. Then I have to, investigation is what attachment is there. So then I break free from the attachment. So when I, by discernment, you will get free from, you can break the chain of attachment. That is what the B is. And then E, first E is, oh, there is only one. Yeah, first E is I eradicate, I eliminate the delusion caused by the attachment in the, what I discover in the I. Liberate, investigate, break free of the attachment. Then I can eliminate the delusion. And then I am relaxed. So I inquire that I have done this, but I feel relaxed. Is the relaxation coming from outside or inside? It gives you a tremendous faith, belief in yourself that the relaxation, peace, and happiness is within me. It has nothing, it doesn't come from outside. It is within me. It has to come from within me. So now what happens, because of the discernment and dispassion, our interactive personality is more looking inside for the peace to interact outside. That is where the meditation begins. That is where the meditation begins. And then we say liberate, or we have done the R, relax, and then the A part. What is the A part that I said? Liberate, awaken. Then I had certain glimpses. Oh, relaxation, peace is within me. What I did, I dropped the attachment, I dropped the delusion, and I see that relax and calm is within me. So it means I go to the first chapter and I recognize I'm not worthy of suffering. Only my mind is creating this suffering. So you see, that is what the liberate model works. I awaken to my, or I can say that awaken to my true nature, you can say that. And then what happens? Your intellect gets the power. I discussed about 4 types of intellect and 4 powers of intellect. One of them, that the power of the faith, power to focus, Oh, the power to focus. So you have a natural focus now on the inner self, then the outer interaction. And there you can transcend the limitation. T means that you can transcend the limitation. And when you transcend the limitation, you can embody the freedom. So you get a certain feeling of the freedom, yeah, by dropping that attachment and the delusion and transcending the limitation and experiencing the calm and the peace within, which is independent of anything outside. So that is why I say you can use the discernment, dispassion, or you can simply use the word liberate model. Did I investigate? Yes, I investigated. So I loosen the intensity of my pain and my ignorance and my duality and a conflict. Okay, let me continue investigation. So I break free of that attachment. So I see clearly. I have a perception. It is because of this attachment that is why it is causing the suffering. And then what happens? Then I break free the delusion and I am able to eliminate the delusion. What is that delusion? Simple definition of a delusion is that what appears true, pain appears true, what appears true, attachment appears true, is not true. What appears true, delusion, it is not true. So when I recognize that what appears true is not true, what is going to happen? You are settled. You enter into relaxation. You enter into relaxation and you get a glimpse of your nature and you transcend. Then you transcend the limitation. So now understand. I carefully created this acronym. T, transcend the limitation caused by the attachment, caused by the pain I experience, caused by the delusion I experience. So again, you are reaffirming. It's a reaffirmation. And once you reaffirm, and ultimately your mind is relatively free. So this is what is happening. This is your outer meditation or external meditation or the first step of meditation all the time. So that liberate model continues with the external meditation, and then we come to so-called the antaranga or internal meditation journey. That is what is, or you can say the internal meditation, which has 6 or 7 verses that we are going to cover from verse number 10 to 17 or 18. And again, we return to the higher meditation. The higher meditation. So, in the first 3 verses, we covered the eligibility for meditation. In the another 5 verses, we covered the qualities for eligibility, and in the next 7 or 8 verses, preliminaries or preparation for meditation. The chapter begins with that who is eligible for meditation, and our master reminds us what we have just covered in a different way. And I covered purely in an analytical, logical way. Again, it is based on the same verses. Then the second verse talks about karma yoga. So it's a reminder of the karma yoga. Karma yoga settles in the mind for a journey of self-discovery. And the third, who should do karma yoga or meditation. So we are removing the doubt. I will continue the journey of karma yoga without fail, but at the same time, I also enter into the meditation. And then we have the fourth verse is first in, we cover certain milestones with reference to attachment, with reference to delusion again. It's a kind of a repetition, but in a different way. But the verse number fifth has a very powerful message. Is the mind your friend or enemy? You have to check it again and again. Mind is a friend or enemy. That we, and two warring factions of the mind. The mind struggles, one part of the mind struggles with another part, and ultimately we reach to the ninth, where the nine examples of the steady intellect. So when I have a steady intellect by the liberate principle, by the growth, obviously I can enter into the other verses. So let us pick up verse number 10 to 17 in a nutshell. In a nutshell, I want to explain with reference to, so that it becomes more pragmatic and practical. So we already are aware, we have enough understanding of three gunas: satoguna, rajoguna, tamoguna. We already know if mind is in tamoguna, it is lazy or sleeping. That is not meditation. Rajoguna, it is excited. The mind is wandering for the sake of desire fulfillment. Then again, it breaks, it fails our meditation. Only the satoguna is required. Then we have three bodies. One is the physical body, and the other is the subtle body, where the mind, intellect, ego, and the sense organs are there. That is what the subtle body. And third is the causal body, where the vasana, I believe you remember the vasana, repository of all the impressions are there. They trigger the mind, and then the mind triggers the body, and ultimately we enter into the interactive world outside, or the outer world outside, by the thought, speech, and action. And then we already also briefly touched upon the five koshas, the five covering, the outermost covering, but I added the sixth one for the sake of understanding. But here we will use the same principle of five kosha. Five kosha means outermost covering is the physical sheath, which is known as the food sheath, purely physical, what is visible. And the second is the energy sheath, and third is the mental sheath or mental covering. Fourth is the intellect, and the fifth is the, we say, the bliss or the pleasure sheath. These five layers simply means the five sets of experiences to the mind. Physical sheath, birth and the death. Birth, growth, and old age, I have left it, and the death. So when this mind is stationed, or you can say the mind has made the physical seat as the main station in our life, fear, failure, and frustration is always there in our life. And you can see those who are highly rich or CEOs of a company, they still have the fear of the death. I read on the LinkedIn itself, French, Melinda French Gates, she says 90% of the CEOs are dumb. But he related it to he related it to tamasic guna because she doesn't know tamasic guna. She says that they never relax. They work until midnight. They wake up early in the morning. Their phone is buzzing. They are controlled by these electronic gadgets, and which they claim that they don't have a proper development of their mind. I don't know from where maybe her experience. So these five koshas. So now we will compare, we will reflect each verse first based on the five layers of our experiences, three bodies, and the three gunas, which will give us a clear picture of what exactly Master is teaching us. So in the verse number 10, so verse number 10, can I say it is the art of sacred space? Sacred, pure, how we say virtuous space. Normally at the primary level, we talk of you burn the incense sticks, keep the room clean. Obviously, there should be a hygiene, the cleanliness should be there. But if we start burning the incense sticks every day, again it becomes a ritual and we forget. So that is why I want to refer with reference to the five layers of experiences, three bodies, and three gunas. So what the verse number 10 says with reference to the five layers of experiences. So it is meant for the Annamaya Kosha, the physical sheet. The physical sheet emphasizing the cleanliness and comfortable environment in the beginning. That is what it influences. Why? The body influences the mind, the second layer and third layer, and the body, there is an interaction between the body and the mind. We say our reference point. Our reference point is...
Keep going, I can hear you. 1 second. But you can keep talking, I'm just right here.
So the reference point is the body, physical body, is a gross mind. And the subtle mind is our mind is a gross body. That interaction is always there to create an outer personality. So what we are doing with reference to the five layers of experience, so we create a good experience, a clean atmosphere, a cleanliness, comfortable environment, so that it has a positive influence on our subtle mind. So that needs to be taken care of in the beginning to induce the calmness. Now we should not be unnecessarily attached to. I saw one master who tries to be famous instead of teaching what is to be taught. So he used to keep, 5 by 5 feet of clothes. So couple of his disciples, wherever he goes, his disciples used to spread that 5 by 5 cloth and then he used to sit. So yes, in the minds of the seekers and the students, it creates a different environment. But it is more a show business than the real thing. We have to. So wherever you go, I should be capable of entering into the state of meditation. What I do, I check the physical environment. I sit, I take the physical experience, I sit in a posture which is comfortable, and then I see the physical comfort and the calmness should be able to influence the mind. That much is required. But yes, in the beginning, if there is some incense, takes aroma, everything is good. Everything is good in the beginning, but we should not develop any kind of conditioning over it. Now, with reference to the three bodies, the physical body, subtle body, and the causal body. So, when I start meditating, I focus on the physical body, gross body, through the physical environment, and indirectly it supports the subtle body. That needs to be understood in this verse. Now we have to understand based on the three gunas. So what happens? This verse promotes the sato guna, the purity and the harmony at the external level, at the level of the physical body. So that is why we recommend a clean and peaceful environment. Why it happens? It reduces your rajoguna. It reduces your a kind of restlessness. Krishna and tamoguna. That is what the verse number 10 talks in detail. So once we will look into each verse, we will divide into 4 parts, and then we will understand it more in depth. Now verse number 11. Perfecting your meditation seat. So I have to perfect the seat of the meditation. Again, you see that further with reference to the 5 layers of experiences, it is referring to the physical, the food sheet. Why food sheet? This body remains unconscious throughout the day. It adopts thousands of poses in the postures every day. And that creates some unconscious mental pattern. So we have to meditation seat. So here the seat refers to the physical part. So I have to check, I have to scan, I have to maintain my awareness. And that is why I added being comfortable and being carefree almost in every type of meditation. These two are my pet steps. So that is how I give the meditation practices. Obviously, from the teaching of the Krishna with reference to the 3 bodies, again, so you are talking of this physical body through the mind. Through the mental awareness, you are talking of the physical body. That sets the tone of meditation by being carefree. So when I am saying that...
Yeah, can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
And I think pertains to this. On the verse 27, 28, chapter 5, right, is talking about essentially shutting out all external enjoyments with the gaze fixed on between the eyebrows, having regulated prana and apana, breath flowing within the nostrils. He has brought his senses and intellect under control. Blah, blah. It's kind of interesting that is that sort of a summary of what we're talking about right now? I don't remember us covering that verse, or did you leave it out?
Yeah. So there are 2 aspects of it. One is purely the, you can say, one is purely the physical and the breathing aspect. So that reflects about the kundalini. You have to sit, you have to breathe longer, you have to focus on the middle of the eyebrows. That is one aspect of the learning. So Kundalini meditation details that. But here we are talking of the flow of the breath. If the flow of the breath is equal through both the nostrils, why it is equal? Because it is already connected to the third eye or the eyebrow center. So then I need not to go for those practices, those smaller and the lower practices. Here, just I'm aware of the flow of the breath. I keep on checking. Maybe I can use one simple mantra and I see that flow of breath is equal. That results into the calmness, that results into the peaceful postures, that also results into the steadiness in the physical body. So in one way you can say that these steps are further expansion with a clarity, further greater in depth expansion of the clarity. So the verse number 10, we have talked about the mental and the physical environment. Or I said sacred space, that is what our American teachers talks about. Let us create a sacred space. So what they are doing is right. No doubt, they are doing right. And the verse number 11, that is the second, they are talking about the spot of meditation. So they are right in that way. Oh, let us perfect. I met one Kundalini teacher in New Jersey, and he was very tough that you should not move your body for minimum 40 minutes. So he used to spend another 10 minutes in adjusting the posture of the body. Another issue that he used to raise, that your spine should be straight. You should not practice meditation while lying down. It should always be practiced while sitting. Krishna talks about that. But if I don't have the ability, so I'm suffering throughout the practice. So it becomes a suffering meditation. So I should not do that. So I should not do that. So that is what the verse number 11 points out. Now verse number 13, no 12, 10, 11, 12. So I'm preparing the mind and the sense organs. So you see that we have started going deeper. How can you say we are going deeper? I'm talking of the faculty of the sense organs. I'm not talking of the physical eyes, physical ear, physical tongue. Faculty is located deeper inside. So that is why I said the verse number 12 are roughly, you can say, mind over the matter. You can roughly say. So you mind over the matter means that you pick up an object and then you master the mental focus, if I can say. So preparing for mind and sense organ. So what it gives you an understanding with reference to the 5 layers, primarily works with the manomaya kosha. So you are working with the third layer, third covering, which is known as the mental sheath. So in the mental sheath, we are educating the mind to focus. Why we want to focus? We want to touch the 4th layer. What is that 4th layer? Is the intellect. I have to touch the intellectual sheath. Without a fair degree of mental focus, I cannot do discernment. I cannot do even discernment. Because, I know here is the false and I know here is a real, here is a mirage, I see the water. So I need some kind of a focus. So that is why, but with reference to the three sharira, three bodies, what we do? Mainly I operate in the realm of mind. So what does it mean? So whenever the mind goes to the body, I bring the mind back to the mind itself. I said, no, don't go there. Return to the mind itself. Why? So that the body remain in the state of the steadiness. Body is not disturbed. That comfort and the carefreeness and the steadiness is continuously maintained. No, but it is maintained with me. Now it is maintained without any reaction, without any pressure, without any pain. Even if the pain is there, you are able to transcend. So the verse number 12, particularly, mind is working on the mind. Sometimes I use these phrases. The mind is now working on the mind itself. Mind has stopped working on the body because body is settled. You have a sacred space, you have a peaceful environment in the first two verses, and then we will take up in detail. So why we do that? First, to tap the intellect, because it is where the power of discernment is located, and also to tap my causal body. Oh, the causal body is the source of all the impressions in the vasanas. Now, if I constantly tap, I ask the mind to work on the mind, constantly what happens? The mind is not going outside. Mind is not excited to go outside. So Rajoguna reduces and you are able to maintain the Satoguna. You don't fall into sleep, laziness. So Tamoguna is also reduced. That is what the verse number 12 is talking about. Now come to your talk. So verse number 13. We again go back in the verse number 13 to make the body steady, aligning the body and the body, physical body. Aligning the body means subtle body too. And so what we do, we align the physical body with reference to the mind, with reference to the intellect. In the first two verses, it was with reference to the physical kosha and the physical body. But here, with reference to the mind, means what? Purity. With reference to the intellect, what it means? The power of discernment. That is very typical in Krishna's teaching of the meditation. We will talk about that in detail. So the physical alignment comes from the higher consciousness. It is not coming from our lower consciousness. Then what happens? The body also is infused with the Satoguna. Why it is necessary? Not to fall into sleep, not to fall into laziness in meditation. That is required. That is required. So now you see that we are still preparing with what? With the five koshas, the first three kosha, the physical and the subtle body, and reference to the intellect. Now we go to, now what happens? In that state, we can harness the power of will and determination. Both are living in the intellect. Both are living in the intellect. power of the inner strength, or you can say the power of fixing the will and the determination. Willpower, or you can say the emotional control. Emotional control, manomaya kosha, the mental sheath. With reference to three bodies, it is the subtle body. Subtle body consists of mind, intellect, ego, and plus the sensual perception of the senses. So here we are looking more clearly the mental and the intellectual aspects. What happens? That sense of the fear and the doubt starts dissolving. Because now we are more absorbed into the higher sheath. And when you are not more concerned about the physical sheath, courage, determination, and the willpower is harnessed, is accumulated. All together, everything together, is the 15th verse. But primarily will and the determination. Will and the determination. Will and the determination. For what? Why I have created will and determination? I have created will and determination to find the real self. Now the mind is free only. It has only one desire to go after. It has only one desire to go after. So I'm just naturally focused on the oh yes, I will create a diagrammatical representation. I will just explain to you. So what happens in this state? We are doing meditation regularly. So for example, we are doing meditation on the Shiva, the image of the Shiva. It is the physical image. You are continue with it. Now, 14th verse says, because of that image, you have reached to a state where you have developed the will and the determination. Now that will and the determination, you are meditating. Again, your mind habitually goes to the image of the Shiva. That image disappears. It takes an image of a light. It takes an image of a color. It takes a vision of, it takes the vision. Now you don't see the physical image. Now, what it means? Now you are able to see it deeper. You are able to see the deeper. What it means? You know, sometime people say, oh, do you read the thought? So how can you read the thought? You can only read the thought by going inside the physical body. Going inside the physical body. The same thing happens by the will and the determination. Now, that will and determination can go deeper. Deeper into what? Deeper into the object of meditation. What is the object of meditation? It is the image of the Shiva. So you are crossing every layer. 5 layers. You enter into the energy body of the Shiva. You are entering into the mental body of the Shiva, the intellectual sheath of the Shiva, the pleasure sheath of the Shiva. Someday you are practicing and you experience that you are full of, you are fully intoxicated. As if the pleasure has taken over your entire physical and the mental body. So sometimes people say that they are in the state of ecstasy. We have yet to realize the real self. It is the 5th body. It is the 5th body. But they are good. They are a sign of progress. But everyone should get those experiences, not necessary. Depending on my past impressions, depending on my effort, depending on the process I follow. It is not necessary that everyone should be excited with a peg of vodka. Those who are not taking vodka, so they will not feel that. So the fifth, what is that which I covered? Fifth verse. All system go towards the goal. All system. That is why I explained you the 5 layers, 5 coverings, the 3 bodies, and all the 3 guna undergoes a transformation. They start undergo a transformation. But sometimes the transformation is very subtle, we don't notice. And after a certain stage we reach, and then we see, yes, I could see that level of transformation. I could see that level of transformation. I could see one psychotherapist who is undergoing all the training in Mondays and Thursdays. So she was saying that I feel my reaction has become less. Initially, I used to react even to my clients, and that was terrible. So, as a psychotherapist, so there I get lot of good experiences, and those who understand it, they want to follow. Now, see the 16th verse. A warning, a caution, or whatever you say, a precaution. That is the most, 16th and 17th verse are most popular verse. Every master more or less refers, and they miss the previous verses. So previous verses from 10 to the 15th verse gives a summary and warns us, and in the 17th verse it summarizes in such a beautiful way. The entire summary of all the first 6 verses or 7 verses lies in the 17th verse. So what is the 16th verse first? Simple tagline, if I want to give a tagline to the 16th verse, it says avoid extremes. Avoid extremes. Now can you remind yourself the Buddha's middle path? He also says avoid extreme. Krishna was born earlier, Buddha later. So we follow the same principles. Explanation is different. After 6 years of torture to the body, 2 ways of explaining the Buddha's journey of 6 years. First 6 years, he was living with a great tantra master. He was also known as, I forget always his name. I remember the last master, Alar Kalam. So that master, when the Buddha left the kingdom and he went to this master, now you see that level of will and the determination was at the highest level in Buddha. That is why he left his wife, he left the son, he left the kingdom, and he left all the pleasures of 16 years of Las Vegas and Sin City his father has created. Now the master intuitively realized that he is a prince. You have to sleep on the floor. Are you ready? Master was not interested in the seeker. But Buddha said, yes, I will sleep on the floor. Only you will get 1 meal a day. Are you ready? Yes. You have to do the practice for 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon, 3 hours in the evening. Are you ready? He said, yes. So because of the will and the determination, remember, again I'm repeating how I'm aligning the teachings of the Buddha and the Krishna here. So because of he has a tremendous will and determination, you can go for very hard practices, it will benefit you. But if you don't have that level of will and determination, and you are going for a hard practice, Krishna says avoid extreme. Buddha said later, follow the middle path. Follow the middle path. No, don't go to that extreme, don't go to that extreme, which Krishna explains in the 17th verse so beautifully. So extreme in food, in sleep, in practice is to be avoided. And in the 17th verse, harmonizing life and practice. Or you can say moderation in everything. Or you can simply say moderation in food, moderation in sleep, moderation in physical activity, moderation in meditation also. Sometimes we are excited. Oh, let us do it. Today I will sit for 3 hours. Don't sit for 3 hours.
I've been there.
Mind will go
4
wild.
hours a day, 5 hours a day.
Yeah, mind will go wild.
Reaction.
No, it will not work. So moderation in everything. Moderation in discernment also. But yes, a level of discernment should apply during the day in all my activities. Karma yoga should always be done. So moderation or a middle path. Harmonizing my life, my activities of the life. So what happens by this? That is the summary today. It harmonizes all your 5 coverings, 5 sheets. Basically, that is the goal. Your external activities is balancing the 5 layers. Well, when it is balancing the 5 layers means what? Physical body, birth and the death. So you don't get those ideas and thoughts and a feeling, no, I'm doing good. And even if you have a thought of a death comes, okay, I'm continuing the journey, I will transcend the death. Energy body. You remain relaxed and full of energy throughout the day, whether you eat food or not. How come? How come it happens? That nature programmed the hunger, and that idea of a hunger goes into the energy body, but you are living at a higher level of awareness, so it doesn't affect you. It says it's okay, it's a part of the life. Today, if I have not eaten, it's good. Mind, pain and pleasure. Now you reduce the events, incidents of pain and pleasure. That is what the harmonizing means. That is why I thought better to give you some reflection so that you will understand what we are doing outside. It is influencing me inside. And I'm continuing the journey of meditation. So in the 17th verse, moderation or the middle path or harmonizing or balancing. So you balance the 3 bodies also. Now you instantly, your mind is aware and alert, and if any past impression, negative past impression triggers your mind, you follow the liberate principle, you investigate it, you drop it, there and then, 3 bodies. What is going to happen with reference to the 3 gunas? You continue to live in a dynamic balance of the 3 gunas, but dominance of the sato guna. Dominance of the sato guna. So I see these 7 verses, 8 verses. These 8 verses as a progression from the physical to the subtle, to the subtler, and to the subtlest. That is my way of understanding these verses. So we should not leave any verse, and we should not skip any verse, but we should understand that it is a movement. Even, our mind says, no, I can do that. No, I have to understand. So it gives almost an integral approach so that we can settle into meditation deeply. Because it gives you a balance of the three gunas with the dominance of the sato guna, your power of discernment and dispassion continues, and it can easily transcend, it can easily kill those vasanas if they enter into my mind. Will they enter? Yes, it enters. Even to the awakened, yes, you can be awakened, but still you have those vasanas are left. So in another way, you can see that each verse, the previous verse, build upon the next verse. It prepares a foundation. And then we rise in consciousness. That is another word that I use. So because I'm moving from physical to subtle to the subtler to the subtlest, so it is a rise basically of the consciousness. Each verse builds upon the others. It helps us to move from the physical to the subtle. Subtle means the mental, and the subtler means the higher mental. Subtlest means intellect, where lives the will and determination. And from the will and determination, our goal is the real self. So that is what the consistent theme of these 7 verses we will then look into each verse in a different way. What we normally say the spiritual progress, or we can say rise in consciousness, or we can discuss with reference to approaching the real self. And if we can do that, why it happens, if that knowledge is settled into your mind and you are sitting for meditation, you know all the details, and it becomes easy for you to go for it. That is what is. So this week you have a lot of work to do. Lot of work. First, the grows principle, liberate principle, and with reference to the 5 layers and 3 bodies and 3 gunas. 3 gunas. Just like, I'm excited. So it's had to be Rajoguna. I'm feeling I'm going into discernment and I feel sleepiness. It has to do with the Tamoguna. Oh, that is why these verses are written. So that is all for